Oh, parents have they get to tell you to go to bed. Uh-huh. So they can stay up until the wee hours of night, working to clean up after you. What are some other powers? Okay, vote. I heard that one. Do kids get to make the power of who's the president and our governor and our Congress? And nope, that's adult power. Okay. So it's interesting. Angels, we know, have a lot of power, but God created us to be his kids. Now, if we're God's kids, it means we should have a lot of power like God has, because we're his kids, we're his offspring. And I was thinking about this, if angels have more power than we have, then why do they have more and we don't? And then I got thinking about this. Let's say that there's a rich dude. I mean, he has all sorts of money. And he owns a big company. That's how he got rich. I was thinking like Elon Musk. You all know Elon Musk, right? And the guy's filthy rich. Richest man in the world right now. I looked that up this week. And so Elon has this company. He has all this power, all these riches. He has money coming out his ears. And what's interesting is he has a lot of people around him that does exactly what he asks them to do, because he's rich and he signs their paycheck. And so when Elon decides, I want to build a rocket that goes to the moon and back, and I want it to go back there and back there and back there and back over and over, he has a whole group of people that says, okay, we'll do it. And he's paying their paycheck, and they're happy to do it. They're smart guys. Now, Elon's kids don't have that kind of power. They can't tell a group of people, go do this, and they're going to go do it. But Elon has that power, and a rich businessman can have that power. Now, what happens, though, that kid starts to grow up. So he gets trained by the dad, gets trained in the company, goes to the best schools, and eventually that child gets to sit more and more at the big table. So do you sit at the big table or the little table at Thanksgiving and Christmas? And you get the big table? Give me 5, man. Give me a bump. That's awesome. I didn't get the big table until I was like a teenager. And then all the teenagers got older, and so it still was a little kid table, which just isn't fair. But eventually, in this big company, that child will get brought to the big table, and he'll or she will start to be able to make some decisions. And now eventually the dad is probably going to retire, unless he's holding on to it with all get out. And the longer the child's sitting there and the more the dad works towards retirement, the child starts getting more of that power like the dad. And it's interesting because that's sort of what's going on with us and the angels and the heavenly hosts. We don't have their power right now, but our dad is God who created everything. And eventually he's bringing us to the table. The more we're with him, the more we're walking with him, the more he brings us on decisions, and the more power we're getting because he's letting us have more of that. He's letting his being, his essence flow through us more and more. And so the first thing Isaiah tells us is that Jesus is our dad. He's our father. And the other cool thing is our father, that father, is not a bad father. He never messes up a promise. And I know I've had my dad, my mom, break a promise every now and then to me. And some of us don't have the greatest as adults. Some of us don't have the greatest parents. Some of us had wonderful parents. Some of us not. And the thing is, Jesus is the perfect parent. He never breaks a promise. He never doesn't show up when he was supposed to show up. What he says, he does 100%. Now, sometimes we don't like what he says. Do you always like, I'm going to Colton a lot, but Riot, do you always like what your mom tells you to do? I would imagine. Aria, let me ask you, though. Do you always like what your mom tells you to do? That's what I was going to say. I know you, Aria. No. So you're just delighted when mom says, go to bed, Aria. You're like, okay, I'm so happy to go to bed. Mm-mm. Of course. You're with me. I'd stay in bed till noon, though. Would you stay? Do you like to sleep in, or you get up? You like to sleep in, don't you? Or you? You don't. Yeah. Oh my goodness, we went to the Christmas Groove with the Dubbers and Shreskos, and poor Ethan was out because he goes to bed early, and he's like, he was gone. Concert blaring, music going. Ethan's. Poor kid, he was out. But it's interesting because as children, God doesn't always just give us everything we want either. because he wants to discipline us. He wants us to have the best life possible. And sometimes he knows that extra donut during the day is not the best thing for us. And so he doesn't give us everything. But the longer we're with him, the older we are, the more we mature, the more he lets you make decisions, and the more he sort of backs off a little bit because you're growing and you're maturing. So he first calls him an everlasting Father, or Father, but then he also calls him everlasting. So, Jan, what's everlasting mean to you? Forever and ever. That's a long time. Finn, do you think forever's a long time? Forever? You're sitting here being so good in church right now, and it's a long time. Forever. I remember that as a kid. It was forever. Isaiah says he's not only an everlasting or a father, but everlasting. It means he never fails. He never diminishes. Trees fail, cars fail, houses fail, buildings fail. We had furnaces go down last week. Things fail, things break down. Guess what? Our bodies fail. How many of you know that? Your bodies wear out. They begin to fail. But Jesus never fails. He never wears out. He never breaks down. And he will go forever and ever and ever like the Energizer Bunny. He never stops. And here's the good news. Because Jesus never fails and never wears out and never goes away, he brings that to us as well. So here's what happened. So we'll wrap all this up. You have an everlasting Father who built humanity. Obviously, something went wrong, and that's called sin. It entered the picture, and what we did in sin is we rejected God as our dad, and we adopted ourselves as our dad. That was the sin. It was selfishness. Now, ultimately, we know the devil is the god of selfishness, so he is over and lords over all that selfishness. So we traded God as our dad, and we took on Satan as our dad when we sin. And every time we sin, we do that. We trade that God-Father relationship for the devil. We bring him in as our dad, which is dangerous because the devil's never content with just a little. He always wants more. And so he traded that relationship, which meant we have no power at God's table now as humans because we traded in the relationship. So why would a rich billionaire who owns multi-billion-dollar businesses, why would he ever bring a son that he disowned into the table? He won't. He'll have no say-so at that table. But here's what Jesus did. Jesus came to buy us back, to adopt us, and it costs a big price. So I don't know if you know much about adoption. Do we have anybody that's adopted here right now? Now, Judy Majeska has 9 kids, and I know 7 of them I think she adopted. So they were foster kids that she went through the whole process with. Adoption's spendy. It isn't free. There's a lot of legal paperwork and a lot of rigmarole that has to go on. I was talking to somebody last week, and they're working at adopting a child. It's expensive. And what Jesus did is he came to earth, and through his death, that was the price that he paid for our adoption. And what he did in that adoption is he bought us back so we could be his kids again. Now, I think this is fascinating. By birthright, we are God's kids. We traded the birthright because we wanted to do things our own way. That failed, and this is exactly what's happening with Israel at the time. That failed, and so God promises to bring a Messiah who was going to bring back that relationship with God, who was going to buy back that relationship so we could once again be in relationship with the Father, with Jesus, with God. And so Jesus pays for that through his death. But then he doesn't die. If we're his kids, if we have his DNA in us, if you will, guess what? It means we will never die. We will last forever and ever and ever and ever. And now if we're walking with him, if we've been adopted back by him and we've accepted that gift, even though this body may fail, my soul, my essence, and who I am will go on forever with him in paradise. And I just think about this. If God made this earth as awesome as it is, and I know some of you hate snow, I like it, okay? Some of you, snow. I'm like, oh, I even love driving in it this morning. I like snow. I just, skiing, winter, all the stuff with it, even shoveling's not too bad until February, then it starts getting a little old. But it's just, this is Christmas. This is what Christmas should be, right? Thank you, Dylan. This is what Christmas should, this is the way, right here. This is the way, this is Christmas, okay? But God takes care of all of this earth and makes it so beautiful with beautiful snowfalls and the beautiful leaves this fall with beautiful lakes. He puts all that together for us. And if this world is messed up with sin, can you imagine how awesome heaven's going to be? And we get to live there forever. We'll never die there. There's no cemeteries in heaven. We get to live there forever and ever and ever. Okay, Riot, quick question. You have your hand up. Do you have a question? Okay. What was it? Did you forget it? Oh, that's nice. We'll pray for her before we're done. All right. So I just think that's sort of awesome. What an encouraging thing that Jesus is called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father. Everlasting Father. He's my dad. He's my father. He lives forever, and so will I. So that's the whole sermon. Is that cool? You have a dad, but you have a bigger dad even than your dad. And he will live forever and ever and ever. Well, let's wrap up in prayer. We're going short. There's a lot of stuff going on today. Christmas in the Valley's happening. I heard downtown's already packed out with people and closed up, and so you go down there for all the crafters. And how crazy is your shop? Crazy? Oof, to buy stuff, or crafters in there already. Yeah, it is a crazy day. So we're going to go get in the crazy ourselves. So we'll go have fun. So let's close in prayer. Thank you online folks that joined us online. Hopefully, I don't know if YouTube ever got going. If you're on YouTube, hey, let us, oh, Marty said it did. That's awesome. So thank you, YouTubers and Facebookers. Glad that you were here today. Dear Heavenly Father, I just thank you for even a day like today. Yeah, it's a low group here because snow just packed us in today. But God, I'm also reminded it's just gorgeous out there. If we don't really have to be out in it, it's even doubly gorgeous with the snow hanging off the trees, and it's just a postcard type of day for Christmas. I pray that you keep everybody safe as we head home or we go out and about this afternoon. Father, don't let us get in any accidents. Keep us safe as we drive home. And I know that the doldrums of winter turn into the beauty of spring. And right about Easter time, the flowers start coming on, the leaves start budding out again, and everything starts turning green. And I'm just reminded, if you created this earth to be so spectacular, and it's fallen, it's not even in perfection right now, how incredible is heaven going to be? It's not marred by any sin. There's no cemeteries there. There's no death there, dying. There's no hospitals there. Father, how incredible heaven's going to be, and we get to live there forever with you, you being our dad. And so thank you for being our Father. Lead and guide us, and I know we don't like the discipline, but we also know we need it. And so guide us, God, discipline us when necessary, and walk with us through this Christmas season, and I hope we can honor you, glorify you, and praise your name as our everlasting Father. Amen. Hey, thank you for coming out to worship this morning. Kids, if you're careful, can help me blow these out, but you gotta be careful. Blow nicely. Best way to do it. Here. some Sunday afternoon. Oops, I turned it off. Okay.